Hello and welcome back to another happy hour. I'm Ryan Fring, creative director here at Backflip, and joining me as always is other creative director John Shoemaker. Say hey, John.
Hey, John.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row that we've done really well.
I don't actually know where I am to you.
Oh, you can't see. You are. Does that help? You look to your right.
Am I looking at you?
No. Look to your right.
Oh,
There you go. Wait, yeah, I did it right. The worst is because we're mirrored. We're seeing ourselves mirrored. What's up? Cool. And joining us today, we're super excited. You can hear him laughing. Is our friend and co-conspirator Josh Stromer. Hey, Josh, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you? I had to cut the conversation short earlier when I jumped back on. You guys were talking about important things, but let's go back into it. Tell us who you are for those who don't know.
Well, my name is Joshua Stromer. I write music part-time for fun and for film and for some bands. And it's just been a big part of my life forever, so I'm just kind of sticking to it.
I think you're also underselling yourself as well. You've helped us a lot. You know, you scored the one film that we did, and then also composed the amazing EV Land song "Electricity," which we'll play a little bit later. And you teach music to tons of people. You have tons of students, and you're like in bands or help bands. Like it sounds like you're always doing stuff, and you have a family.
Yep, that's correct. Yep. Pretty busy.
Yeah, so you're always running. What's that kind of look like these days for you?
Well, I mean, gigs are down a little bit, so
Mhm.
so no one's really out jamming, but you're still kind of in the creative space, trying to come up with new material and just seeing what's out there to have fun with. But teaching has been pretty rock solid. A lot of my students have stayed on all year long, so they're the life raft here, and they're awesome. I'm very lucky to have them on. So
that's what I was asking him about before, because some of my kids have music lessons, and you know, there's varying levels of ability with doing things online. The individual lessons you can kind of do, but depending on the instrument that you have, that presents challenges. And so I was asking him how he's doing that.
Yeah, isn't
Mhm.
Rowan? Is he doing trombone online?
He's doing trombone, and he's doing piano, but he's doing that in person with somebody. But they're like a long ways. It's a long drive to make it in person. So um, I was just thinking about options there.
Yeah, what's that been like, Josh? Switching from in person because you had the studio and I believe you did lessons there to now,
Yep.
the world is online. And what's that
Yeah.
like as an instructor?
Well, it was a little nerve-wracking at first because I didn't have any technology to do it, and
Hmm.
uh, everything was catered to teaching in person. And so, probably over a weekend, I built a computer, got my cameras set up, and learned some software to help me teach online. And by the next week, after the lockdowns, it was just business as usual. It's just everybody was online, and it went to Skype right away, and there wasn't really any issue.
Hmm.
The only kind of drawback is with vocal students because you really want to sing together. Um,
Oh,
but
okay.
the speed of light is still too slow. So
Yeah, we were earlier just singing one of the lines from Electricity, and I was like,
uh,
"Ooh, we better not do this live because I'm going to be a second behind you, or something like that." And it's the worst when that happens.
oh, I think we should do it live.
It'll just be like a round. It'll be like we intended this.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Rowan had a band concert, and I was very curious to know what they were going to do. And it makes sense. So it wasn't live. They got the main part, and then they all played it, individually with headphones on, and then sent that in. So then the band teacher stitched it together
Mm.
multi-panel thing.
That sounds hard.
It was like, oh yeah, it's like, I mean, Eric Whitacre was doing it before it was cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Eric Whitacre, virtual choir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that sounds like a huge work for for an instructor or somebody. So Josh, do you and I do want to mention we are live in case you were wondering and you didn't see the live wherever you're, on Facebook or YouTube. Please do ask questions down below about Josh, anything you want to know about him, or thanks, Luke. Lighting looks great. Thanks. Or the projects that we have. We're going to show those pretty soon, but please do post below. We'll see those. I can throw your comments up. John will also bring them up if we don't catch them right away. So please do ask questions below because that's why we're live. We want to hang out with you and Josh. Mostly we want to hang out with Josh and you secondarily. So thank you for joining us. And we should also do a shout out to what we're drinking. This is a happy hour. What do you have today, Josh?
Well, I have two options. I have the High Life, the champagne of beers.
Oh, nice.
And then
you snuck that in. I didn't see that before.
The small Coca-Cola, the smallest one I could find.
Yeah, could you hold both of those up real quick?
Yep.
I love the small drinks too. Yeah. My grandpa, just loved his, what did he drink? PBR. And he wouldn't drink much of it. So they would totally, like my grandma, I came over one day and they just had like I don't know whether they are 6. They're even smaller, I think, than that. Are those 8 ounces or those 6 ounces?
I think these are 7.5.
7.5. So they're about 8. Yeah. So I think he had like even smaller, like 6 ounces, and he would still just drink a little, and then you'd find it like sitting on the counter somewhere. But there's never any judgment with what you choose to drink. There's only encouragement.
Oh yes. Yep.
All right. What do you got, John? Oh no.
Oh, John is muted.
Yeah, you're muted. Did you mute yourself? Hey, it happened to someone who's not me.
Well, I was looking around for this other project, and I can't play the music that are on these links, without causing a major disruption. So I caused a different kind of disruption. I ran back there before, and I stole this limited label orange carbon 4 orange chocolate porter.
Nice.
I didn't even read. I didn't read
Is that the Schwartz one?
Oh, I'm very excited. No, it's called Orange. Orange is the happiest color.
Orange is the happiest color?
Yeah.
There you
also, I just remembered another thing I was going to do this week that I didn't do, which was connect to the meeting on a different device with a newer camera. I was just looking at these, I was like, what the heck is it? Oh. Because my computer that's still pretty powerful is old.
Yeah,
it doesn't take long.
It's taken off, yeah. So I also am repping Carbon 4 because you always got to be repping. This one's fun. It's like sneaky. You just got the brand right there. But this is Poco Loco, a Mexican hot chocolate stout. This is actually, I believe, what we have in our tap at the office. And I do watch what I eat and exercise and things like that. I'm kind of anal, but my trainer put me on a lot more carbs, so I need carbs. Like yesterday, I could have had like 3 cans of beer, except I ran out of calories. So I can drink some of my carbs. I'm super excited about it.
He's watching, just shaking his head.
Yeah. No, I told him the other night. I was like, I was looking at my macros and I had carbs and I had calories. And I was like, I'm totally drinking those carbs. So they got a kick out of that. I think everyone else was shaking their head who eats carbs like a regular person and is like, I don't ever have carbs extra at the end of the day. But enough about that. Let's get back to you, Josh. We were talking about instruction and that change, but you have several kids. Do you have twins and another daughter? Or I was like looking at your photos trying to remember. I got to write this stuff down.
Yeah, I have twin boys, Aiden and Atlas, and they're going to be 3. and my daughter Nora, who will be 4 on Valentine's Day. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have a daughter who will be 4 on Valentine's Day as well.
No way, man.
Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
Magdalene. Yeah, our fifth.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, that's
I
fun.
think
I
we've
cut to
talked.
John for
I think
some
we've
reason.
talked. I think we talked about this before too, because my second child, our oldest daughter, was like this close to being named Nora.
Oh yeah.
Yep, there were like 2 names we had, and then like you had yours, and it was like, hey, the name.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
what?
I named her after Nora Jones. So just fantastic voice, and so I'm like, we'll do this.
And you'll also find that we're a fan, and John especially, but like we love those names that like were our grandparents' names that
Hmm.
aren't really around anymore, and then you see a little kid that's Nora, or Grace, or I guess my grandparents would be like Phyllis or um,
Yeah.
Marion, and it's just there's like an elegance to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it does. My grandfather's name was Walter, so every time I hear that name, I'm
Oh
like, think of this smart dude.
yeah,
Oh,
that's awesome.
I saw this article the other day that was talking about that the way that those names sound to our ears today is how like Jennifer and Brittany are going to sound.
Oh no.
Oh,
No.
it can't be. It can't be so.
Nothing
Yeah.
against Jennifer's or Brittany's, but it's such, it feels like such a 80s, 90s, you know,
Well,
Yeah.
their
fad.
point is that it has like any name that has like a narrow window
Hmm.
where the popularity spikes, but then it just goes back down. You
Uh,
end up with these generational names.
Hmm.
So then everyone with that name is in a certain age group, and
Right.
eventually they'll be grandparents.
yeah. Yeah. I was just talking to somebody at FedEx. His name is Josh, and we're like, man, in the '80s, everybody had the same idea for boys' names, and I graduated with there's like 4 or 5 Joshes in my class, and we only
Uh,
had like 50 people in our class, so a small school. And so when Josh was getting yelled at by the teachers, half of us were looking. So,
oh my gosh. I wonder if we could hack this too, because I don't know if you guys did this when you're looking for names. So for our names, they're saints, primarily saints, and sometimes family names. So that's kind of where we went. But we totally did look at like popular names, because we didn't
mm,
necessarily want like our kids to be like, all right, you're going to be, one of 5 Ryans in your class,
uh-huh, yeah.
So I wonder if we could hack that system somehow, update that Wikipedia of most popular names, put whatever name you want to name your child at the top, and discourage
Oh yeah.
those. Because did you guys do that? Did you look at any of those lists when you were naming children?
Oh, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, mine was more of a like immediately I knew kind of what I wanted.
Oh, nice.
Aiden not so much, but Atlas, uh, big time. I just said the name one day, and I'm like, that'd be a good kid's name.
That's super
Okay, I'll use
badass.
it. I love it.
It's a super cute kid's name. It'll be a badass adult name too.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, I'm
I always
excited.
get I always get really anxious because I'm just like, how can you name a human being? Like, there's so many things that are going to be, come off of this name. Like people will have an impression of you before they've ever met you
Mhm.
based on the name that you say, like,
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
I always feel that weight.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then at some point you stop caring and you're like, we got to write something on the
Yeah.
certificate. So
The nurse is like, okay, if you leave here without filling this out, it's going to be registered as baby, and you're going to have to go change this at the courthouse.
yeah.
Uh-huh. I think my boys thought their name was No for the first year and a half. So, no.
Also probably their first word, or
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. And so like, I'm very curious too. Okay, so I want to go somewhere. but we got to step back. Did you guys know each other before? Like, how did we connect? I don't remember how we connected, because I feel like it was like through John, but maybe I made that up.
Well, it's a connection. It is kind of a connection through me, but it was through probably John Breinig or Bart Smith, who knew from, was it high school?
It was just after high school. We were in a band together, Bart Smith and I.
So, yeah, John Breinig and I were playing, in a band for the down at St. Paul's for the student group in our worship band. But then after that, or alongside that, I don't really remember, we had a short little spurt at something, trying to do more band stuff with another band. So, I mean, I've known him for a long time. And then I don't remember exactly how it connected, though, because I know that's a connection. But I'm wondering if I just found you through some other way, though.
I sent out a bunch of emails when I moved to Madison to film companies. And I'm pretty sure I connected to Ryan first. And then Ryan connected me to you guys as a company.
Yeah.
And then we just discovered we had a mutual friend with Bart and John. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a small world. Madison's a big little town. So
that gave you the, it was kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? Your resume.
Inside, angle. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
But he's got these connections.
Yeah, he's good people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good guys.
Yeah, so that kind of is the preface for, how we kind of connected. It sounds like, and my memory is terrible. I apologize. But through your marketing to us, we connected and had that, inside angle, which is always very helpful. But we connected, and was the film, I'm trying to think, was that the first thing that we worked on together? Or did we work on something small before? I can't quite remember.
Yeah, we did. We did the WPS little animation.
Okay.
I think it was like an inside tutorial video that they were doing.
Sure.
Or something like that. And so that was kind of our first thing, and that was pretty fun. So I think that was number one. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. I do remember thinking, when we're trying to figure out what we're doing for the film, we knew, and we had worked with you before, but I was just like, you know what? We haven't worked with him in this capacity before, but he sounds awesome. The work he does is awesome. And, obviously we're very happy with the WPS work. Let's get him to score our film, which,
oh yeah,
I don't know, at the time, like maybe you could, discern a lot more about it, but we just, I think we connected, and just loved your work. And so we're like, oh yeah, we could trust an entire film to Josh. He'll be great.
And I'm very happy that you guys did. It was a lot of fun, and I certainly appreciate you guys taking the chance and everything, because it's always fun to work with people who are really passionate about the art. And so I think when passions combine, man, like, it's just awesome.
Well, and I think so you had some stuff up on your website, showing the breadth of your work. But then you had also, I think this is after you had put out like one of your album, True Soul, is that the name of the one?
Yeah, yep, that would
and that along with like maybe some film score samples, or you had done some like indie stuff for somebody else. And I was just like, yeah, this is like, I'm sure that he can do it. And it was kind of like maybe it'll be a huge undertaking, but the sounds that are there are good, are what we want.
Cool. Yeah. And that's what I love. Like I was just head over heels for like Max Richter, Hans Zimmer, Philip Glass, like all the, iconic guys, and so I've always tried to pull in sounds, where I would hear them. And so I don't know, any kind of plugin that creates something special, or any kind of texture sound that I can like apply to a visual or something. Like that's really what I love to see in film myself. But yeah, so those guys are huge inspirations.
I love to. Sorry, let me switch back. There we go. I love to just your musicality and your expertise, because I think you can work in a space that has a huge breadth. And kind of what I mean by that is like for the film, and likely for that WPS piece, it's probably more background, but we need it to feel like this. We want it to feel like this or have this energy, but it shouldn't be front and center. And then you come to something like EV Land, and we're like, we need to write a hit single.
Yeah.
And it has to be kind of around these this theme. And you know, we worked together on those lyrics. I think you, let's see. Did you write lyrics and send them to him, or did Josh, did you write those? I remember just having like small tweaks at one point, but
Yep.
Yeah, Josh took a lot of the lead on that.
Okay. Let's
we
give you
about,
all the credit then. I want to be clear.
I think I had a phone call with you where I was like, well, here's kind of what's going on. And, you know, this is like the storyline. And we want, because I had a very different thing in mind. And it worked its way into the script, but I was talking about drive, like the word drive and the concept of driving, you know, and like playing with the pun there.
Yeah.
But then I think, Josh, I think you came up with the electricity hook on your own, filled in a lot of the lyrics from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why that one just kind of caught me, and I was like, okay, we'll run with this and see what they think. And I mean, in the film score world, you'll do lots and lots of work, and then they'll be like, no. And then you just do it again. And I mean, that's okay. You have more material to use later, you know. So but I always kind of like trying to put my idea there, see what happens, and then if it's shot down, man, it's shot down. So
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that's kind of what I was getting at before as part of your genius, which at this point, we'll do, you know, when we have the project that we can go for it, we're just like, oh yeah, you know, we need Josh. But coming up and, you know, hearing the story, reading what we had at that point, talking to John, you know, kind of getting that creative, and then yourself realizing like, ooh, I can come up with these like dual theme of electricity. You know, we share this electricity, and maybe we can listen to it right after this, but we share this electricity as in like literally this electricity, you know, this power, it's something that drives us. It's something that we all need. It's something we share in that. And then as creative community environment, we share this, you know, emotional energy, or we share this story, this energy from our shared story. And so, you know, people may not realize it, but with you writing those lyrics, you wrote in really important thematic points that are complex, which is awesome because it's, you know, it's not just words and sounds, it's important meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that because everyone is, you know, kind of focusing on going towards this clean energy, and you know, if everybody's kind of, you know, involved in it, you know, that, and you know, the storyline there was a bit of a romantic storyline too, and so it just kind of felt like it brought home both points there. So
it's like one of the things that was unexpected that kind of happened too was like I don't know what kinds of ideas and vision you had for this when you were writing it, you know, whether it was a smaller story or the larger story, but like that concept of we share this electricity, I mean, our client was just over the moon about it. And like people were like, holy cow, this is like a thing that people need desperately right now. It's like a feeling of connection through, it sounds cheesy, but it's like, you know, we're making this huge meaning out of like a utility company. But really, like that was the point of all the projects we did with them, and all the work was like, this is a thing that is common amongst the whole community. You know, there's it, and it doesn't matter, like, because we've gone through a couple of years of some pretty contentious things. You know, like we had an election that was not, you know, very agreeable for a lot of people.
Yep.
We had the shutdown, which that was only this fall that we released it publicly, right?
Yeah, this summer. Yeah, I think it was the end of July. We shot it in 2018, but yeah.
So being shut down and sort of isolated, like just that feeling of like some positivity of like we're connected as a community, we share in something together, and we get value from that. Like that was the other thing, is like we just take it for granted, but like we all need electricity to live modern lives, to do what we're doing right now. So you just, I mean, and that's the thing too about, we talked about concepts, and I think I just said, hey, you know, if you want to play around with some stuff, you know, let me know. Like I could write some lyrics out, but like I play guitar, not as well as you do at all, but my wife and I, when we've, you know, played with music and written songs in the past, it's always together with the music, because that's just how we assemble it. And I think it's better, you know, because if I just handed you some words, you could put music to them, but they wouldn't have been designed with that music in mind. You'd have to, you know.
One inspires the other quite a lot. And I tell my students who are songwriters, you know, you want to approach songwriting from at least two points of view. One from chord progression, inspiring melody, right? And the other from developing melody by itself, inspiring chord progression. And some maybe a third point would be just coming from a set of lyrics and seeing what happens, you know. But you can't marry the lyrics, you know what I mean? Because rhythmic structures are going to change. You're going to have other ideas. You might have better ideas. I always say, you know, you want to sacrifice a lyric for a good musical idea. So if there's a spot in the song where you're like, oh, this needs to happen, but then it means that this needs to go. It's like, well, don't get too attached to it. Like if it's a good idea, do it, you know. And but then again, you know, give yourself a deadline. Otherwise you'll be having good ideas for the same song for 10 years.
Yeah, I'm curious too, you know, when you mentioned that, like, get rid of some language or change some lyrics so that great musical moment or beat or whatever it is plays out. That's really interesting. I've never heard anyone describe it in that way too, because you think about what are your favorite songs, and a lot of the times, you know, like listening to people sing their favorite songs and not knowing the lyrics, you're like, okay, well, there's the musicality to it tied with, you know, some of the lyrics, but by and large, it's a experience of them both together. And the more important thing maybe is that music, that melody, that line.
Yeah, like the melody just, it puts it into long-term memory, you know. And I think later, at least for me, listening to some songs, like I'll almost go through the lyrics and realize what the song is saying 10 years later, and it almost can ruin the song for me, where I'm like, I wish I didn't know they said that. Like,
yeah, sure.
Because I thought they said something else, right? And but it's interesting, because at least for me, lyrics are probably one of the last things I listen to when it comes to songs. For some reason, I just listen to chord progression, instrumentation, and then I'm like, oh, there's a singer.
yeah. The musicality of, you know, 9/10 of it or 3/4 of it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun. So We can play it. I believe we can switch over and we can play Electricity. And by we, I mean you. So let's see.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun to do.
And Ryan, where you were gone, he did a screen share too. So I think you can just do it that way.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to skip ahead. Do you want me to start from the beginning or do you want me to start right at a certain part?
Oh, let's just start right at the song.
Right at the song?
Or the beginning of the song. Yeah, I didn't know if you meant beginning of the piece or the beginning of the music. Yeah. Let's just start right at the beginning.
All right. I'll find the timestamp here. So
of the song. It's right when we get to Cars.
Right when we get to Cars.
This is fun. In the meantime,
all right.
I love your Christmas tree in the background.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
This is the spot you're wanting, right?
Yeah. Can you crank it up?
Yep, it should come in here.
I can't help but feel like I'm out of energy.
Cool.
Spark I used to have has taken hold of me, driven me to a place where I thought I would never be in harmony. Yeah, you know we share this electricity, you and me. Yeah, you know we share this electricity, you and me.
In case you've never tried it, go ahead and try to springboard yourself off.
I'm not sure about this. You have to resist any steps that take you afar. Just think about it. You're lost without it in a current of the
I
mark.
know this isn't new, but I have to take a chance and dance my part. Yeah, you know we share this electricity, you and me. Yeah, you know we share this electricity, you and me.
Take the time, listen to your mind, open up your eyes and see the light shine. After all the years, you'll find yourself here with a mind to dream in this atmosphere. So break the mold, take the gold, run your race and don't you fall. Do something new, or move off cue. Never let them take that away from you.
I'm not sure this path is where I'm meant to be. Too many roads ahead with just one destiny in front of me. But I'll stay the course and do what's best for me, fearlessly. I've come so far from where I've been, taking on a path that I can win, knowing more of who I am. All these steps I took, I'd take again. I've come so far from where I've been, taking on a path that I can win, knowing more of who I am. All these steps I took, I'd take again. We've come so far from where we've been, many roads left to be driven, powered by a future we can see. Yeah, you know we share this electricity.
And the crowd of 12 people in the front row go wild.
Hey, you can't tell.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Oh
That's
my
so
gosh.
fun.
And mad props to you too. I forgot, like, so there's like kind of the orchestra, there's kind of the hit pop song and singing, there's hip hop, there's like a Latin moment where a trumpet, what was that high note? Was that a high C? I feel like that trumpet just goes whee right at the end of that section. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was the not only did that challenge me as writing, but it challenged my computer because it was like, I don't have enough RAM. But it was so fun. Yeah,
There's so much going on there, and like, it's just, I knew it at one point, and now it's like flooding back into my mind, looking at it and like thinking about it in context of talking to you, Josh, because we've had there's so much in that project that we did. We've had other people that we've talked about, and we've looked at EV Land with Charlie, and again probably with Rachel. Like, did we have Rachel? I don't remember. But like the music, one of the backstories of things is, like you mentioned, timeline on finishing a project.
Mm-hmm.
What you can get done. Well, the other side of that is flying into a project where you've got a shoot day on the horizon and all the creative pieces coming together all at the same time. Dancers were having to start rehearsal, and we're like, okay, Josh, whatever you have so far.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could start stepping things out, on the beat and with the tempo. I don't think we had the final. We had a very close, but we didn't have the final piece even when we recorded.
Oh,
we were.
Yep. And props to those dancers for, if you were to, one, nobody wants to see me dance, but if you were to give me a rough track and I am supposed to write choreography for this, I don't know if I could do it. Like the dancing to those rough tracks. I'd like to hear what I was handing out to them, see what they had to deal with. Yeah, it was a tight deadline too. It was like, what was it, like a month or so?
It was something like that. But again, like rehearsals, we needed rehearsals to start for the choreographers to have, because basically, it felt like, okay, we've got some time. We've got, whatever it was, a month, or even if it was 2, still. But the problem is that everybody has that timeline. But anytime you're doing something that's a musical, which we have tortured ourselves with on more than one occasion.
It's true story.
You have more to your timeline. You have a whole part of the project that has to be, if not completed, at least a long ways through the process before the other parts of the project can begin.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And in the music, especially when everything is kind of relying on it, right? Your scenes, your choreography, and it's like, ooh, yeah, no pressure. Get it done, Josh.
Yeah. This is a very important part. Yeah. So, go ahead.
There's another part of this piece that that I really like. It's less, big and grand, but the challenge thrown in front of you, Josh, was to create this like tension and strange feeling in the main character's like dance as it gets sort of interrupted by a new character who brings a different style. Mm-hmm. And we want that to come through the music. And we started with a waltz, and then you came up with a way to sort of break that waltz, or like to carry the waltz into a different time signature, so that when they choreographed it and danced it, it would feel off.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's probably the first time I've ever used time signature in that way, and that was awesome. In an attempt to actually kind of give the listener the experience of the music being thrown off as well, and so they feel like they trip out a beat with her. So that was kind of fun, and it reminded me of actually back in the day when I was jamming with Bart in this band that we were in. We had a song called The Waltz, and we did this 3/4 thing, and we played the time signature all the time. So, so it kind of came from that too, where we were, because I remember us going through some of the songs that had these time signature changes, and whenever we would switch time signature, somebody wouldn't. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's a really good point to bring up, because there's music in here that is in other places in the piece, because in the beginning of the piece she is practicing with something that I can't remember, and I'm trying to think of it. Was there something off about it, and then at the end it's the correct version, or because there's other things that you created for this as well, and I'm trying to recall from 2.5 years ago how all that worked out.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of little like things that I think we would catch in the music as like the people who were behind the scenes making all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always a treat when like a listener catches it and they're like, "Oh, hey, I see what you did here," and yeah. So hopefully they can catch some of that throughout the film.
Yeah, we get like a melody from the beginning coming back at the end, but there's discordant, and I can't remember what it was. Was it that it changed? Like, because when she's dancing, she stumbles. Did we actually we did something there musically? So was it a change in time?
Yeah, that was the time signature change.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think it followed like the key signature in about the same melody, but the melody would shift to accommodate the time signature.
Mm-hmm.
She starts dancing in a waltz because we felt like that would be
traditional,
classical style.
Classical.
And then the new character in the piece, he's bringing hip hop in, which would usually be 4/4. And so I think that was the thing, is that
she gets an extra step, right? Instead of like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Ugh.
Yeah, so he kind of laid the waltz from the 3/4 like on top of this 4/4. There's two versions of that song, like, and the second when they start it back up and bring the new dancer in, it's in 4/4, and so she like has extra steps that she has to add, or she's like always off on where the downbeat is as you go 3/4 over 4/4.
Yeah. And that's a lot of fun. One of the hardest things that my professor in college would say is in piano to have like a 3 pattern over a 4 pattern in the left hand. And so of course I was like, okay, I'm going to make this easy for me so I can be like, hey, Mr. Professor, try it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool when you hear these melodies kind of go against each other rhythmically. So
yeah. What I learned it in what was it, high school? It was like one puppy dog, like duple and triple time. One puppy dog, 2 puppy dog, 3 puppy dog. That's all I can do though. I could never play like that.
Which I can do, but it only occurred to me recently that how different 3/2, which is what that is, versus 3/4. Like,
okay,
that's super nerdy. I love it.
My son has been asking me about this. Like, he plays piano and he loves all the science of it as well, and the way the frequency works and stuff. But I've been watching some of these crazy drummers on YouTube that will like show you how they play like 5/7 and like all, and it's just like, oh, I cannot, like the way your brain works is.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And one of the greatest things about time signature though is that it can give you this illusion that the music has changed, like as far as melody and chord progression, but really it's all the same stuff, just in a different time signature. And so writers can get away with extended, pieces if they just change the time signature or change the key, right? They just do
Yeah.
the same thing, just a little higher.
Yeah. We just like finish it. That's that, or feel it. Excuse me.
Yep.
And we did have a question from Amber Marie. Let me throw it up there. It's actually about. Let's see if I can get it up there.
That's my sister.
Oh, nice. She's like, I don't care about the music. Oh, wait, this is. I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. This is from last week. Hang on. Do this one. There we go. Who choreographed the piece? So that was Rachel. Did the ballet that we talked about before, and then AJ Juarez. Rachel works with the Madison Ballet, and AJ Juarez is just a crazy international cat who I think he's here now, but he often travels home. I don't actually remember where he's from, South America, somewhere in that entire continent. But he does really cool stuff, really ridiculous dance. He works with the UW. So those were two of our choreographers who worked on ballet, hip hop, and then bringing it together. They collaborated together, AJ and Rachel. And to tie it back to Josh, he was the only person who had to pull all that stuff together in the music.
But man, yeah, what awesome group of creative minds. So it's just so cool.
Yeah, that I mean, that's been my favorite part of it, is just working with such amazing people. And it'd be so different if any one person was not a part of it. We made this this beautiful bouquet, beautiful orchestra of many parts.
I'm just glad that the track that I sent you where I rapped, where I was doing the
Oh,
rapping,
yeah.
right? I'm glad that has somehow disappeared. Let's just keep that up.
Yeah, no, yeah. So in that Electricity song, you are the male dancer. So you play you sing
Yep.
for the male dancer.
Yep,
And then a friend of yours sings for Catherine, our female dancer.
Yes, Julica Rose. Yeah, fantastic voice.
And then Solomon actually ended up rapping because he's like, hey, I kind of rap, I dabble. So he took over that from you.
Yep. Yeah, my rapper name was Skittles, right? Because Eminem Skittles. So.
Nice. Taste the rainbow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the end there, the chorus is actually really fun. That's like you probably doubling and tripling things, but then we also got to be a part of it. So at Backflip, we were able to record some tracks and send them over and get those in there. So that was a blast.
Well, we came over too. We went to your
or is
studio.
that what it was? Yeah.
Yep. It was a combo. Yeah, you guys came over to the studio and recorded some takes there, and then we went to your guys' studio and recorded some takes there too. So I've always made sure my setup is portable-ish.
I don't remember on this one. So I was thinking back to the previous project we were talking about, the documentary. Did you use any live instruments on this one?
For EV Land?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of guitars, any bass lines. Much of the string work would be plug-in stuff.
What about I'm sorry, did you say anything about the brass, like for that Spanish part or that Mexican part?
Yeah, that brass was what was it? East West, I think is what the brand that I use. Probably the most, because I remember the first time we went.
So that was digital?
Those were digital, yes.
Oh, wow.
So the first time I sent it, I think John was like, "Yeah, that sounds fake."
The sample's not great.
Yep. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have a great ear for brass. I know what a good French horn sounds like, but that's about it. Is French horn brass? It might be woodwind. I don't have all that lined up.
Yeah.
But the brass stuff has gotten really good. Same with the strings. And until you need like a soloist or something very specific, much of that can be done, digitally. And I try to work that if I can. And then if it's still not feeling right, then we get some people in. And usually other problems come up when you hire humans, and so it's always kind of like one of these things you balance out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that
when you hire humans.
When you hire humans, yes.
That you found was really good. The next time you went around it, but yeah, it's one of those things. It's like it's hard to. But what you get with humans, and the reason I think maybe there you can just feel that difference is
live performers, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly how humans talk.
Yeah, you don't sound like an alien at all.
Yes.
You get imperfection, and
Yep.
and that is our trigger to know that it's real. Like we can feel it,
Yeah. Well, what happens in these plugins is they put that in. They because they're real recordings, so they're so you hear like is more of like you'll hear like I guess like it's weird to say, but you'll hear like the saliva in the brass, you know what I mean? Or when you're playing piano, you'll hear, someone hit the pedal for the sustain, or they'll let go of it. You hear like the clunk, right? Yeah, I mean they put a lot of these elements in there, and so to my ears, as many things as I've heard, I don't think I'd be able to tell the difference between a piano that was recorded with a human or a piano that was recorded in the approach to make it into a plugin. And so they're so good. One of the best out there as far as plugins would be for like piano sounds would be Spitfire Audio. Fantastic stuff. Just amazing. So
here, I'm going to pause this because I'm going to send you a message, and I think we're still getting that. Whoop! There we go. I paused you. You're good. I shared this a super secret link to a version that Jeff is uploading of the film, so you can maybe pull the title track. John says that one was amazing. This is now the Rosary film that you scored an entire feature-length film for.
Yeah, this was really fun.
It might be uploading and processing for the next like 15 minutes.
Yep, looks like it's still uploading.
So we if it happens to show up, that'd be great. Otherwise, maybe there's another way. Do you still have like the title track somewhere that you could play?
It would be on another computer that is currently in retirement.
I couldn't find because I thought I knew where it was on a hidden unlisted YouTube channel, but I couldn't find it there.
And Jeff found a version of it on Frame, but yeah, I think it's a pretty old version, so I don't know necessarily what it has. Jeff, if you're listening, maybe you know where the audio file is. It's probably archived.
Are you looking for the is it Power in His Hands, or?
I think so. That's the
Power in My Hands.
I have that on my SoundCloud if we just want to listen to it.
Ooh, yes.
But for the video work, we can always wait too. It's not
it's more important to hear it. That's what we want.
Okay. So yeah, I'll pull that up.
The video, the lyrics, none of it matter.
There's no lyrics. So.
I'm just speaking about music in general.
All right. Do you want me to run it?
Yeah, sure. Actually, yeah, since there's no visual.
This is the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And I did hire humans for this. Oh yeah.
Oh, so good.
And the violinist that I hired is this guy. His name's John. Fantastic. He graduated from Berkeley. Amazing violinist. So you see him around Madison playing with country bands, and he's in the Madison Symphony Orchestra and everything. So that guy's a legend. So really good stuff.
Even more so now.
Even more so now, yeah. Yeah.
That's like that was something that, well, I was going to ask you this question before, and maybe you can hit it here too. But so it's one thing to see dance choreographed to your music, and we should talk about that a little bit and just see how that how that was for you. It's also just like when I went to the studio to film a little behind the scenes of those musicians playing the track after you had composed it, and I had listened to a few like of the piano versions of it, and then just kind of a little bit of a digital rough, together.
Yep.
But then like hearing and watching the musicians perform it too was just like, it's like awesome.
Oh, it would have been cool to see that live. Yeah. It's still awesome to just see it in film. It was the first time I've ever written for dancers. And so I've always kind of, I guess, when it comes to writing, songs with lyrics, I'm kind of what would be like a selfish writer, right? Because I like it, and so then having the agenda of, okay, people are gonna have to dance to this. I'm like, all right, I don't dance. Let's see. I'll do some homework.
Yeah, well, and it turned out so well, even with the rough. Like John was saying, we had the rough, and that's what they had to work with. And that's, I guess that gets back to my point of like just your musical expertise and breadth has always been impressive to me. And so I hope that we can make more movies just so that I can hear you score them,
Oh, and it's same for you guys. Your creative vision and everything, like it brings the music out of writers, and so it makes the job easier when there's such a clear vision and you guys have everything organized out, and then you see quality of your past films too, and you're like, man, this is some inspirational stuff. One of my favorites still
You're
is
very
the
kind.
film that you guys too. My favorite is there was this little film that you guys were working on with like the superhero. Like I loved that. That was Yep, I still love that.
Wait, which one was that?
Footnote. So
Footnote. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of that one too. Because you wrote did you write more than the one piece in that one?
I remember I wrote a few.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where it was all used.
There was kind
And
of
that was a 48-hour film contest, so quickly.
Oh yeah.
Or 72 hours, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was kind of the dystopic, kids song, or what the heck was that song?
Yeah, Ring Around the Rosie.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anyone that has a copyright out for that, but hope not.
As long as it was after 2000, I don't know, when the heck was that? 14? 15?
Oh yeah.
15, 16? I don't know. Whenever we released our piece.
Oh yes, yeah.
Obviously, people had done that before.
Like Happy Birthday.
Yeah. Which is no longer valid. So please include Happy Birthday in anything you compose for us.
There you go. That'd be great.
We do have another question here. Let me throw that up. Let's see if I can do it right this time. Play this one. There we go. Hannah Christian. That's fake. Your name is Hannah Hess. Your Facebook handle confused me when we first hired you. But what genre of music do you enjoy composing or even creating the most? I'll broaden it out there.
I always feel like the great writers, like Hans Zimmer, right? When they do some huge work and then they go to minimalism, it's like, I feel like they have their bragging rights. They're like, I did this Lion King thing and I'm going to do some minimalistic, atmospheric, beautiful thing, right? I just skip the big thing and go to the minimalistic thing. So I love minimalism. I don't know why. It's not because it's less demanding on skill per se, but I feel like it just allows, especially in film, it allows so much to happen in the film, and you're just giving it a little bit of emotion versus filling up a whole section. I think most writers would agree that you can overwrite, and then you're putting too much in. So I always kind of start with a little bit and add complexity until it's like, okay, that's where we'll stop, right? So I love minimalistic, like Max Richter, even like Sigur Rós. They're an Icelandic band, I believe. I love their sounds, just so neat. There's a documentary called Score, and it's about film score composers and a bunch of approaches to writing. And so it's really cool to watch, and you can get a bunch of ideas from it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, do you have any examples of like minimalist things that you've composed? Anything you wanna pull up or share, or just favorite examples? Because I'm kind of curious, like what that sounds like.
Yeah, I'd say so. Minimalism, in my mind, is something that it might be a lot of repetition, but it also has layering of other melodies. We would most likely call that counterpoint in writing, and so there are a bunch of different styles of writing. So I would say an example of minimalism from something that I've done would probably be it's called A Memory, and I'll play it here. And it starts off with the boys choir, and this was used in the Rosary documentary.
Oh, sweet.
And so you can really hear that there's the background ambience, and then the piano is kind of giving you a little bit of like what to be expecting, I guess, emotionally out of a chord progression. And so that just kind of sits for a while, right? So even if we skip ahead, we're just adding a little bit here. And usually when I hear those little chimey bells in something, I'm always like, okay, that was something in the film where I'm like, I'm going to time this to this certain little thing that happens in the film. And so that to me is minimalism. It just has this atmosphere, it holds an emotion, and that's really all its job is. You're not going to walk away singing melody, but then melody happens here, and that's a boys choir, and you can almost walk away singing this melody. But again, that's super repetition up until the end here, and then it just fades out. The last thing you'll hear is the bell fading.
I kind of just want to float in water and listen to that.
Yeah, a little bit of like an Enya type of thing, hey?
I'm picturing him more like a Minority Report, just he's floating back.
Oh yeah. Anything that gives me like that. When I start something like this, if I feel like this sinking feeling in my chest, I'm like, okay, that's what I'm trying to get, and then I just hope, film companies are like, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
No, that's
and the amazing thing about having you score these pieces that we've done is, there's a lot of music out there. Like the market now is full of people who have written music and posted it up, and you can buy royalty-free tracks, and to some extent there's even sometimes stems that you can work with and edit it a little bit, but it's still hard to get like the experience that you get out of something being designed for that moment. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's almost like a band with video, like it's like working in a band again, when because you have somebody that has the vision, but it's literally you can see it too, and so the music, I would say a lot of times is heavily inspired by either the script that I'm given, or what visuals you guys have for me already. And so it does, like, it inspires the music. And so I think when you buy a track, like just some backing track with royalty free rights, right? I feel like you have to almost adjust your vision for that. And maybe even because things will occur in the music where you're like, okay, I don't care for that spot, but I can't change it, unless you have stems where you're moving the wave files around, and then that works. But limitations for everything, but benefits for everything too. I mean, it's a probably lucrative industry for a reason. So
yeah. And when composing, what's kind of the thought process of how you approach the sounds? Obviously budget can play into that, certainly, but when you hear something, or when you start to think about something and writing something, does that kind of come into play of like, ooh, I got to try and find a boys choir, or I have this boys choir sample that's amazing that would be great here?
So I guess for the boys choir, that was the Rosary film, and it took me back to when I was a kid. Went to church, and there was a choir up there, the boys choir, and they were singing, and so I'm like, okay, I want to recreate that memory. And like the kind of like the Christmas Eve kind of vibe, where you feel like that, the warm fuzzies or whatever, and yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. and so that's what I was trying to get with something like that. And usually, especially like the footage that you guys had of the inside the church and everything, like that really inspires quite a lot of what I would expect it to sound like. So when I see like an environment, I'm like, okay, what would something sound like being performed there? Or even like with the NFL, part of that. Like that's going to be huge. That needs to be big and loud, right? And yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. What's the environment? What are things going to sound like there? So
well, and you hit really well on, and I imagine most films, any film perceives itself to be bigger, more important, than any other.
oh yeah.
And you really hit well on the desire to, like, the idea of, we're talking about a global or universal battle between the forces of good and evil. Like, yep. All right, now just go ahead and make something for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's hard not to be like, so I have my piano hooked up here, but it's hard to not just be like, when you're like good and evil, like, right? It's just hard not to bust that out. And the funny thing is that's a major chord, right? So, yeah. But just this getting like some of those past influences, right? When, especially with good and evil, man, there's so much that's been done, and you're like, okay, ignore. I might steal a little bit of something here. So, yeah. It's the other thing with good and evil is, if you ever watch, especially John Williams, I love the way he uses brass in the French horn. Man, like Jurassic Park, that pretty much that was my big inspiration. I remember hearing it when I was a kid, and I'm like, this is incredible. The dinosaurs, okay, but this music, right? And then my cousin graduated, and they had the Jurassic Park film or music score for their graduation, and I'm like, oh, this is the best thing ever. And so the way that they use the French horn is probably, I think, the definition of good and evil in a lot of films.
And I'm not necessarily a great student of music history, but it blew my mind when I feel like it was only recently that I found out or realized that John Williams scored Home Alone. And I made that reference before. I was just like, I can't believe it, but at the same time I can believe it. And you're like, that's why this piece that was written for this film feels like a piece that I've known my whole life. But I actually didn't. He just hits that nostalgia chord so you're like, I feel like this has always been a part of Christmas, and you're like, no, it was actually written for Home Alone.
Oh yeah. Yep. Embarrassing confession as well on my side. It wasn't until a couple years ago that I learned Hans Zimmer did the score for Lion King. Like I don't know. I started following him, probably in 2014, and that was pretty late to start following him because it's amazing where they have their music, especially if you go Wikipedia stalk them and you can see where they've been.
Sure. Yeah, and who else we have? Danny Elfman.
Oh yes. Man, Oingo Boingo. Yeah.
I don't know many composers like Hans Zimmer, John Williams, Danny Elfman, like because it's like your favorite movies, and I don't know, watching enough, you catch some of the credits. Oh,
the Ice Dance from Edward Scissorhands, Danny Elfman's score, gorgeous. The choir work, the string work. I mean, I love his Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, but I feel like something about the Edward Scissorhands film is the music for that is just so good. Yeah, and he was in the band Oingo Boingo before that wrote Weird Science, right? So
that's hilarious.
That's Danny Elfman.
I did not know that.
Yeah, pretty cool dude.
No, that's awesome. It's funny. I feel like I've noticed Danny Elfman more now, and so when you say like Edward Scissorhands and like Weird Science, like I kind of want to go back and look at all my favorite movies over the last, I guess it would be the 80s and 90s, and just see who's composing them, and because it's that memorable. There's that feeling. You hear it, you feel something. It's just such a special thing, and we got to give those people mad props.
Oh yeah, and I think it captures quite a bit of who they are. Like that. I feel like at the beginning they're still really pushing to prove themselves, and I mean, even something as silly as Napoleon Dynamite, right? Where it's like, how did that work? How did that happen? It seems like they just captured the genuine hilariousness of the actors, and then the
John
music
Heater.
just was perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's just amazing when that works out.
John dresses up as Napoleon all the time.
Oh,
You
yeah.
probably speak towards this.
Well, the director that wrote that article that kind of went around for a while, where they were talking about like make movies with your friends,
Yeah.
all that, and the basic idea was like, you'll get better. Obviously, all the things that kind of go along with getting better at your craft, it's good practice, whatever. But basically, it was like, if you enjoy it, like if you can like crack yourself up, and yes, inside jokes that won't translate to the wider audience, but if you can crack yourself up, like eventually that will catch on. Like people will be inspired by that, or they will also enjoy it if you're enjoying it. If you look at it and you're like, I don't like this, then neither will other people.
Yeah. And if you're trying to stretch it to make it work, then it's like, it's, I don't know. I think everybody has those little moments, but man, like, especially with Napoleon Dynamite, how many sayings we've pulled from that in our generation,
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. So we are kind of winding down here. I did want to play a little game that we play sometimes called Two Truths and a Lie. But don't worry, I will give you a moment to gather your thoughts, because we'll go first and we'll save you for last, so you can kind of get a sense of how the two truths and a lie go.
Okay.
For those at home who don't know how this works, or Josh, if you need a refresher, you're going to tell us 3 different stories, or short little pieces about yourself, and one of them is going to be a lie, and we got to guess which one that is.
Okay. Cool.
Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Nice. I 2 weeks ago we prepped our guest. Most of the time I don't like prepping them because I just want them to come up with the thing that comes off the top of their head. It's usually pretty awesome. So John, if you're ready, you can go. Otherwise, I wrote some down last time and I'm happy to go first.
I'm not ready, and I got to think more so I don't screw it up this time.
Yeah, it's okay if you unintentionally cheat. Just don't intentionally cheat. We'll often tell 3 truths and be like, oh crap, I was gonna tell that one as a lie. All right, so here's my 3. Number 1, I've never had poison ivy. Number 2, I've been within 3 feet of a saint. And number 3, did I say number 3 already? Number 2,
nope,
and
just 2.
Now we're at number 3. I actually I will be downhill skiing for the first time tomorrow.
Do I go first? Or John goes first, right?
Ooh, I got John up. Hang on. Let's pull. Yeah,
Okay.
So you'll go first because we played this game 40 times, so we have a little bit better sense of. Sometimes I'm just terrible though, so you can go first.
So I would say the lie would be 3 feet of a saint, within 3 feet of a saint. Yeah.
Good guess.
Good. Bring a camera tomorrow.
He's being tricky. So we've one of the things that when you play it a lot that you have to start doing is start borrowing other people's stories so that so you can trick people with like, oh, that's not, I feel like I've heard that before, but it's like, oh, that was somebody else's, so then it's a lie for you.
Yeah.
But
go ahead and guess at home too.
so he's got like 2 of the ones that I shared recently about poison ivy and a saint. I should have specified mine and said that they were living because you guys weren't sure about that. But I'm thinking that you're referring to Saint Maria Goretti when her body was in Madison. Poison ivy. You said you've never had it. I said I had never had it.
Also, the ski one I stole from you too. These are all 3 John that had recently.
Yeah, like I have to like bend my mind around. I'm gonna say you're not going skiing tomorrow.
All right. So let's see. The one you didn't vote on, poison ivy. I've never had poison ivy. We used to run around out in the woods, and I'm surprised that I never did because I never knew anything about poison ivy or poison oak or anything. Make tree forts, crawl through bushes, did all that, never had it. Then let's see. The skiing one, I'm actually going skiing for the first time next Thursday. Snow skiing. I've never been skiing, so I'm not going tomorrow. That is my lie. And then I've been within 3 feet. I was trying to estimate because they have her, I don't know what they call it, like a reliquary, it's like a coffin. She's like on display. Saint Maria Goretti, they did bring her body to Madison. She was at Immaculate Heart of Mary for a little while, so we got to go see her there. Was able to touch some items to her. think that makes them second-class relics if you want to get super nerdy. Carolyn or somebody should text me if I'm wrong. But yeah. And now that you mentioned, John, the living or non-living, if you were close to, was it JP2 who you were close to?
Yeah.
See, he was not a saint. So you were just close to a really holy dude.
Who was about to become, okay.
I mean, well, I take it back. He could be a saint. We just didn't know it until it was declared. Okay, I take it back. It's all fair. So
close.
Yeah, so John is like a bloodhound with this stuff. He somehow sniffed out the lie.
Yeah.
All right, we got a point for John. All right, you're up, John.
All right. Just got to make sure I've actually got 2 truths and a lie as opposed to 3 truths or 3 lies or okay. I won the high school talent show with a song written a couple days before. In college, I lived in the house where Nirvana recorded the album Nevermind. I went to state solo ensemble with a handmade Mexican guitar. Music themed for Josh.
I appreciate that. I go first, Ryan, or you?
Yes, yeah, you go first.
All right. I'm going to say the lie is state solo ensemble with a handmade Mexican guitar. That's my guess.
Man, right out of the gate,
I want the other
Josh,
to be true.
Josh is there. So what did you say? The second one was you lived in a house that an album...
In college, I lived in the house where Nirvana recorded the album Nevermind.
I mean, my initial guess was the handmade Mexican guitar because, like, you don't have woodworking. Like, that would be insane to be able to make something like that. But that's not my guess because Josh guessed that. So I want to get coverage on these. So that was my first thought, but I'll let Josh have it. Nirvana recorded the album Nevermind, won a talent show with a song you wrote several days in advance. I feel like that's a thing you would have done in high school. I'm trying to remember, who was it? Like the Fugees came by. So you don't have to answer these because it could give stuff away, but there was like Fugees or somebody who had a concert in Madison and swung by your house, and they heard your roommates jamming out and they came and jammed with your roommates. You weren't there. So I'm trying to think of if you're trying to conflate stories, because I don't think it was Nirvana. And it just sounds weird to me that they lived in a shitty house in Madison. Oh, can I say that? Crappy house in Madison and recorded the album. So I'm going to go with number 2 is the lie.
Well done, Ryan. Well done.
I was hoping that was true. That'd be cool.
High school talent show. We gamed it. We were like, there was another band. So I was in a band in high school, and there was another band, and I actually thought that they were better. They were. I liked their original music. We played a lot of like alternative and classic rock, and we booked a lot more shows because that's what old people want to listen to. But I liked their music. And I was like, we're not going to be able to like beat them. And so we wrote a song called Billy the Math Nerd and came up with a whole like act to like, like our keyboardist is named Billy. And like, he comes out, he's like this nerd at the beginning. And in the middle, there's this like breakdown. It was like, over the summer, you know, they took him away to math camp or whatever. I forget which transition. Actually, he goes from cool to math nerd, and they like we put feet up over him and then like drop it, and he's got these like suspenders on and glasses or whatever. But he like has this hilarious piano solo too, and people were just, it was amazing. They were screaming and yeah.
That's
That
awesome.
sounds amazing. Hannah also guessed correctly. Hannah guessed number 2 being the lie.
It was perfect because the other band played and their song was really good, but we won.
Yeah.
In
That's how
college,
those work, isn't it?
so I was trying to throw you off, Ryan. You got it. So Nirvana, recorded Nevermind in Madison,
Wow.
at the studio right across from EVP, where
garbage, the garbage, like where garbage was or whatever.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the producer. That's a travesty, but he was at the Mamas one year, and yeah, he was over there.
Yeah.
And then I never said I made the guitar. It was a handmade Mexican guitar.
Oh.
Family was in Mexico, and I brought it back. It was a classical style. And one of the years in high school, I was like, I'd been playing trombone, and I was like, what the heck? Why don't I play my favorite instrument, even though I didn't play it in band? It's like, why don't I learn a song on that and take it, to the contest? And I got to state and did well, because it was the classical guitar that I had. My other one was just the regular, whatever. So.
That's awesome.
You could have ran with that though. You could have said, "Yeah, I whittled it out of one piece of tree."
Yeah, a single tree.
Yeah, a single tree.
All right, Joshua, you're up. Let's see. I'm dropping frames because of network. Sorry for whoever's watching. It looks like we stopped dropping frames. For the guest, we'll stop dropping frames.
All right. All right. So 2 truths and a lie.
Yes. Here,
All right. I always sleep with a pillow on my head. I have an allergy to dogs. I didn't learn how to read music until a month before college.
Ooh. All right. I'll go first. I like to think that didn't learn to read music until a month before college. I'm trying to think of if we talked about it, but you have like band history, and I do know. Excuse me, like, not traditional. What's the difference? How do you make the difference? How do you speak about the difference between like a band with woodwinds, brass, and the like?
Concert band?
A concert band, yeah. So I don't know if you've been in a concert band, but you've been in other bands, likely playing guitar, a bass, and singing. And I know a lot of people in band who have never read music. So I feel like that could be it. You went to school, I'm assuming, for music. So I like to think that's true. Hannah, let's see. Hannah says, oops, that's the wrong one. Let's do this one. There we go. Hannah thinks number 3 is the lie, which I think was the music one. You learned to read a month before college. I think that is true. Let's see. You're allergic to dogs. That was number 2. And then remind me of number 1.
I always sleep with a pillow on my head.
Always sleep with a pillow on your head. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like that could be the lie, and maybe like one of the kids, your kids, does that. We talked about your cats earlier, or your cat, which just had cats. Kittens.
Yes.
There we go. That makes more sense. Your cat, which just had kittens.
Full-grown cats.
Yeah. So they just came out huge. And we didn't talk about dogs, so I feel like that could be true too. So I'm gonna go with number 1. You don't sleep with a pillow on your head.
So you think the pillow on my head is a lie?
Yeah. All right. What do you got, John?
Hmm. So I wasn't part of the cat conversation earlier. I could have sworn I saw a dog walk through the background earlier in this stream.
There was something in the background. Yeah, I saw it.
I'm going to go with the dog one just because I thought, yeah, and same reasoning on the music reading. Josh Groban wasn't even in music until later in life.
Yeah. He was probably born in the 80s, though, because he has his name Josh. So.
Truth. Ooh, and Amber Marie says number 2.
Insider knowledge.
So the dog. So it must be the dog. And maybe you do have a dog, and I've seen a picture on Facebook, but I did not remember.
Yeah. Once upon a time, yeah. So I don't have a dog allergy. The other two are true. Yeah. I still don't know why I sleep with the pillow on my head, but
Like,
one below and then one on top. It's just yeah.
Does it like stop right here, or does it continue over your face?
It covers like everything except my nose and mouth.
Okay.
And it works for me. Yeah. Until I only have.
Yeah, probably to protect your hearing.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
No, I mean, yeah, that sounds legit. It's like, we swaddle babies. We do these things when we go to bed. Like, I don't know anyone who can't sleep without a sheet, and I like my comforter because it's like heavy. Like, I love the heavy comforter. Even during summer, we have a heavy. It's not super warm, but it's like physically heavy, like a wool blanket that we sleep with, and it's just like nice weight. So I feel like it's just that comfort. You need that pressure on your face.
Yep. I mean, it's warm, but it's comfortable.
You just wake up sweating right here.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like I was watching Cops.
That's amazing. All right. Well, if I tallied the scores here correctly, I think you won, Josh. I think you won 2 truths and a lie, if I'm counting correctly. So congratulations.
Oh, well, thanks. I did get the John one wrong, though. So
don't look too much into it. Is there, as we wrap up, is there anything you would like to plug? You had mentioned SoundCloud. I'd love to get people over to any of your marketing or anything, to see more about you.
Yeah. I have a website, joshuastromermusic.com, and I have my SoundCloud, just Joshua Stromer, and but yeah, that's about it. I haven't put a lot of new material up there. I've just kind of been writing kind of behind the scenes for a while, just some simple singer-songwriter stuff, and yeah, so not a lot of new material, but I'm always plugging away at something.
Yeah, what's has it primarily kind of been a lot of that teaching right now?
Yeah, a lot of teaching, and spending much of my free time trying to keep other work going, and so balancing a little bit of kind of two job focuses at the moment. So it's nice because you get the mornings to kind of do what you want, and you can do self-employed stuff in the mornings, and then you have the evenings to do the teaching. So yeah. Hey, gigs. Cool. No gigs, sorry guys.
Oh yeah, are you, I mean, we didn't ask that, like have you done any of those like Facebook live streams, or because I would totally tune in if you did something like that.
I've been thinking about it. I'm trying to think about a time that would be appropriate to do that, just because neighbors and stuff like that, because when you sing, you kind of get loud. So I've been thinking about doing that, and I might do something here soon. So I have a bit of a list I've been working on. So
awesome. Yeah. So I did throw up the links. We got joshuastromermusic.com, and then you said on SoundCloud you're Joshua Stromer as well.
Yep. Last I checked. Yeah. Unless they changed it on me.
Yeah. That would be the worst. They're like, we're actually going to call you some other 80s name, Jennifer. You're now Jennifer Stromer. Jennifer. There's too many Joshes.
Yeah. The server can't handle it.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. We got those links up. Please do check that out. check out EVland, genre2030.com, maybe /EVland, I don't know. But just go to genre2030.com. You can see that work. You can also see the score or the film that Josh scored, Power in My Hands, I believe.com. Otherwise, it sounds like we've got a lot of the music on your SoundCloud, so you can check that out as well. So thanks, Josh, so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's I don't like, the time frame is always weird to me because like I want to respect people's time and not take up too much of their time, but I feel like, all right, we're a little over an hour in. Now we're just getting started, but because of the time frame, we have to be finishing. So we'll definitely get you back on the schedule so we can continue this.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah. John, what else do we got to promote?
I was going to say something about music. Always be
Closing.
singing.
Yeah. ABS. Got to get the abs. Yeah, let's see. Next week, I believe, is Julia, the producer. Julia coming on, our good friend and producer. Is she next week? You should know this. I should know this.
Could be. Could be.
Could be.
You'll have to tune in to find out.
You'll have to tune in because we won't tell you. So yeah, tune in next week. We'll have another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you to the new guests who showed up to see Josh, especially Amber. Thank you for jumping on and providing the truth to, or helping us find the lie in Josh's Two Truths and a Lie. But yeah, that's what we got for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Adios.